Good morning and welcome to the Island Lamb. I'm Diane and this is episode 39. I'm making myself a cup of coffee and I hope you will join me on one of our favorite walks. So here we go. We've just left the house and we're walking on Old Mill Road, and look at this beautiful vista looking out at Fresh Pond through Smiling Through. And Smiling Through is the name of this little cottage that was built in 1691. And there's also a song called Smiling Through that was written about this view on Block Island. And just look at how gorgeous this is. Okay, as we continue our walk, we are now also seeing this beautiful field of daisies and this horse grazing.
Hi.
And here goes some horses.
Hi. Awesome.
You never know what you're going to see. But the things I wanted to point out for sure are the Greenway trails. I've mentioned them before. There are several, and here's one that we're going to take a little peek. And you can see it's well groomed and managed by our town. And look at down here at the stone walls. I'm crossing the street now, and that same Greenway trail connects on the other side. And so you can't take bicycles or mopeds through these trails. They're protected. They're for walkers only. Look at the beautiful wild roses spilling. I also wanted to mention that they take care of the sides of the road and they mow, but see these milkweeds? They are a source of food and also a breeding ground for the monarch butterfly. So they do a wonderful job of mowing but leaving the milkweed for our monarch butterfly population. Here's another interesting fact about Block Island. We don't have regular addresses and we don't have postal mail delivery service. We have what's called fire numbers. And you see these numbers at the end of these driveways. In most cases, you can't even find the house. So the business that we used to own on Block Island, Lamb's Package Service, was a delivery service that delivered UPS and FedEx. So that's how we would find a house, is by fire number. And they're called fire numbers because this is how the fire department would find your house if there was ever an emergency. And they don't run in any order, so you just have to know them and learn them and commit them to memory. Okay, we continue our walk. I wanted to show you one of the 362 ponds we have on Block Island, this beautiful lily pond. Gorgeous, soft, meditative place to just take a breath, take a moment. Continue our walk down Center Road. We're on our way to the farmers market. We have a farmers market on Block Island in the summer every Wednesday and Saturday. And this is the property where the vendors will set up. I wanted you to see it. It's the American Legion Hall. And behind it is our island cemetery. But Wednesdays and Saturdays, it's transformed into our farmers market. And here we go. We've got several vendors. It'll get a little busier as the summer goes on, as people's vegetables and flower gardens start to fill in. But we've had quite a few. And here's a friend of mine. This is Liz. She's the owner of the Traveling Seamstress. She has a shop downtown, and she made my slip covers, and she does beautiful work, tie-dye, beautiful, gorgeous fabrics. Well, I hope you enjoyed that footage at the beginning of this video of our walk on Old Mill Road and down Center Road to the farmers market. And Block Island is just beautiful in June. It really puts its crown on. It's, the roses, the wild roses is still in bloom, though they're starting to wane. The Rosa rugosa, which are those beach roses, are blooming. The honeysuckle is spilling over every stone wall. The smell on this island, if I could send you the smell between the sea air, the honeysuckle, and the roses, and there's someone cutting their grass every day, and so the smell of freshly cut grass, it's intoxicating. You could easily spend your day just sitting on an Adirondack chair or in your hammock and just read or take a nap. I have a lot of things I want to accomplish. We've got some company coming next weekend, so I just want to tidy up a little bit. We've been off island a little bit. And so those walks all happened last weekend, and it was a glorious weekend. June is one of those months on Block Island where we still have ribbons of spring in the air. We feel that little coolness of spring, and yet the humidity or some of the heat is starting to trickle in. So those 2 days almost felt like September days. So if you've been to New England or you live in New England, you know what I mean. Sometimes June and September can have that same temperature, that same vibe. So I just want to share a little bit about Block Island with you each time we chat. It seems like it's something you are interested in, and I have a lot of information I could share with you. I am not a historian, so I just try to give you my experience. Certainly the fire number experience is one that we lived. We owned that business for 23 years, and we came here not to deliver packages. We came here and then we bought the business, and then we started delivering packages, and there's not one fire number that seems to make sense. You could have 566 next to 1026 next to 942. They were given out as each house was built, so maybe there's a little neighborhood, and there are very few neighborhoods on Block Island because we have so much land usually in between. So it was really something for us to try to learn what fire number went with what house, went with what person. And over the years we certainly figured that out. Again, our mail doesn't get delivered, so we have a post office, and we have a post office box, and we go down every other day in the winter, and maybe every day in the summer, and collect our mail. And it's very unique here. We do not have any stoplights. We have stop signs. And so when the tourists start to come, and when the summer folks start to come this time of year, I think for them, and I know I experienced this as a tourist when we first started coming here, you have this feeling you've gone back in time. We don't have a McDonald's. We don't have, any of those commercial fast food restaurants. We don't have any chain hotels. It's all Victorian inns or bed and breakfast. We do have vacation rental by owner. It does feel like you've gone back in time a little bit. We have a Victorian historical part of town that you have to comply. And then once you get out of town and you see it from the walks, it's rolling hills, it's stone walls, it's gorgeous ocean vistas, and that is it. That's Block Island. Okay, so let's get to the knitting. Well, last episode I had this on the mannequin. This is the Tor Rose. It might be a little warm to be wearing this today. I have my ceiling fans going on up here. It's linen quill, and I want to just get a little closer. I think I'm going to have my husband take a few pictures of this on me. I am wearing it with kind of a white flowy skirt. It has a boat neck. I love a boat neck. The pattern called for a short sleeve or a long sleeve, and because I was using my linen quill and I only had 2 skeins, I was concerned. Can you imagine? I still have linen quill left over. I made, it never ends. The linen quill just keeps, I can't seem to get rid of a skein of it. So anyway, I'll probably use this in something at some point. But this pattern is adorable. So I'm gonna put my glasses on and tell you a little bit more about it. So it's the Tor Rose, and it was designed by, and I may not have said her name properly. I think it's a French name, and it's Emilie, maybe, Emilie, E-M-I-L-I-E, Emilie. And the last name is Luis, L-U-I-S. And her description, and I will read you her description, is this. Oh, where did it go? The Tor Rose is a feminine and delicate sweater perfect for spring. It is knit seamlessly from top to bottom in stocking knit stitch and lace. We start the yoke from the back, then the front with the boat neck and short rows on the shoulders. The body, back, and front is then worked in the round. 2 versions of the sleeves are available, the short or long, fitted sleeve, and the stitches are picked up and then you knit in the round. So modifications, well, obviously I made it like a little cap sleeve, but though it doesn't look too cap because you can see the line. So you see where this was all the one piece, and I just picked up a few stitches. I did about 2 inches of stocking knit and about 1 inch of the rib. And this is I guess we call this a twisted rib. Knit in the back of the knit and then purl the purl normally. And you're knitting in the round, so you're only knitting in the back of the knit stitch. It's supposed to be cropped. I don't usually wear cropped, but I wanted to wear that with my long white skirt or my long white slacks, so I wanted that feeling. I could still tuck a little bit in the middle. I could put a belt on this. But I do like it. I think that it's a little warm for a humid day because there is wool in linen quill. But I think at night on Block Island with a skirt or high-waisted linen flowy slacks, I didn't put any too much jewelry on because I really wanted you to see the pattern, though my mom gave me this gorgeous, this is lapis from, actually all these stones are from Afghanistan, and this is lapis from Afghanistan. And I thought, well, that was kind of fun. But the description is a feminine top. And I think that had I used a different yarn, I would have gotten more of a feminine look, but again, I was trying to use my linen quill. So I do like it. It's all stocking knit underneath the sleeve, and then you've got these lace patterns running down. I do love the boat neck, and I love this color. So give it a shot. And like I said, I would definitely try to make this maybe a lighter weight, non-wool, maybe a linen silk blend, maybe a linen cotton blend. But I think in long sleeves with the linen quill for spring or fall or even winter, it would be perfect. Okay, so let's see, what else do we have going on? Well, I think I mentioned to you last week I was going to work on another one of these Coco Knit. This is the Everyday Wrap by Coco Knits, and it was designed by Amy Christophers. I've made this a few times for gifts, and I've sold a few, but I made this one for myself. Let's see if I can get that a little closer to you. This is in the mohair that I picked up at Webb's Valley Yarn during their sale. This is Southampton. It's 72% mohair and 28% silk, and it's made on a US 9. This is a lovely piece to have in your wardrobe. Oh, you can see I haven't blocked this yet. This has just been steam blocked. I haven't done the ends. I haven't done the ends on this. I just wanted to get to you. That was more important to me. But you can just see how, now this is delicate. This is feminine. This is lovely with a tank, with a sundress. I can wear this. The Spring House is one of our Victorian hotels that has a gorgeous restaurant, and it's down on the east side of the island. There's always a breeze at night. I always think I'm going to be too hot, and I bring this and or something like this, and I always end up wearing something like a jacket. And I think this will be so much prettier. And you know, this is one strand, so you can see it's pretty ethereal, but the mohair fills in, so it's not too sheer. And that little ruffle is just a nice little delicate detail. So this is just, I recommend this for a couple of reasons. One, if you don't want to think and you just want to knit. And that's kind of where I was. I really, I had this almost finished, and I wasn't ready for a big new project where I had to read directions, and I just wasn't in the mood. But I wanted something on my needles. I was on and off the ferry quite a bit. So this is cast on 52. I think this is a free pattern, so I can talk to you about it. Plus, I've talked about it before. You cast on 52 stitches, knit a row, purl a row until you have 48 inches or less if you're smaller, or, you know, if you're smaller in the shoulder, or longer if you're, you know, wider in the shoulder. This is really up to you. You can add more than 52 stitches because that's going to be the width. I've done it, I think this might even be 58 stitches, to be honest with you, because I'm long from my waist to my shoulders. I think I went 58 inches and I went 58 stitches wide and 48 inches long. The pattern says to bind off and then sew the two seams together. I don't even bother with that. I've made it enough times that I know that's an unnecessary step, really. It's going to tell you where to fold, where to mark, and once you fold, what I do is I leave one edge still on the needle, and then I pick up the other side and I just knit them together, and then I start doing the ruffle. And to accomplish that ruffle, all you're doing is knitting in the front and the back of every stitch, and then it's a little humid up here, so excuse me. Linen quill on a humid day, maybe not a great idea, but to accomplish the ruffle, you're knitting in the front and the back of the stitch, every single stitch. The next row you're purling. I didn't even bother purling because I can't tell the difference, so I just knit that row. And I did that 3 times. I knit in the front, knit in the back on the entire row, knit a row, knit in the front, knit in the back. So you're doubling the number of stitches you have on the needle each time you do that knit in the front, knit in the back. I did that 3 times, and then I bound off. And so there's my ruffle. If you want a smaller ruffle, just do it twice. If you want a bigger ruffle. Now, the whole time I was making this, I was thinking, well, wouldn't that have just been lovely with maybe a hot pink or a fluorescent orange, or you know, a contrasting color. So I'm going to think about that for my next one, and I know there definitely will be a next one. Okay, so what do I have on the needles? I don't have anything on the needles right now, but I have a new project ready. and I'm going to swatch. I don't know if I'm going to swatch today, but I'm going to swatch soon. So I've been looking at this pattern for a couple of years, and I think it's been out there for a couple of years. This is the Ingrid sweater by Petite Knit. Now, for those of you who have been watching me, you know what my sweet spot is. I like top down, I like to work in the round, and I like a little challenge, but some simplicity. And I think I'm gonna get all of that with this because it's all texture. There are mock cables, and there's pearls, and there's knits, and there's gonna be some short rows. The neck goes on last. You'll pick up the stitches for the neck so you can decide, do you want to do a shorter and then maybe stitch it down, or do you want a turtleneck? So again, I'll figure that at the end. So now what can we tell you about this? This pattern, I'll read you a little bit. It's worked from the top down in knit and purl, textured. You're going to start with the back yoke. You're going to work back and forth. Sloping shoulders are shaped using short rows. Then you're going to pick up some stitches, and again, using short rows, you'll work the other shoulder, and then you'll join and you'll work the front yoke. The front and back yokes are joined at the underarm to form the body. And then that will just be straight down, no increasing, no decreasing for the waist. So a little bit of a boxy fit. Lots of sizes, very size inclusive. It goes from extra small to 5XL. Anybody can make this work for them. And really good, so the measurements are in centimeters and in inches. I had my, I went to my local yarn shop, the Mermaid's Pearl, where I purchased the pattern and the yarn, which I'll talk about in a minute, and I had them measure my bust again because, you know, I know my bust measurement, but sometimes I just feel like maybe when someone else measures it, I learned something new. You know, so you're not supposed to go straight across, you're supposed to dip down a little bit in the back, and so it's nice to have somebody else do your measurements for you and then keep them. I had Deborah Newton, I took a class with Deborah Newton, a finishing class here on the island, and she recommended that let somebody else take your measurements for you. So based on the pattern is the pattern is designed to give you approximately 8 inches of positive ease, meaning it's designed to be approximately 8 inches larger in circumference than your bust measurement. Very well described way to understand what positive ease means. So knowing that, and I know what my bust measurement is, so if I pick something that matches my bust measurement, I pick a size that matches my bust measurement, I'm going to have 8 inches of positive ease. We're talking, this probably has, you know, close to that, maybe 6 to 8 inches of positive ease, and I like that for this sweater. I don't want it much bigger than that. I do want to get a turtleneck underneath this, or a denim, maybe a denim shirt with the collar up and my sleeves rolled. And I want to have a little bit of movement at the bottom. I tried on a sample that was there. It was a small, and I got a feel for what it would be like if I didn't have enough positive ease. I don't want the texture pulling. I want the texture to be relaxed. With that in mind, the pattern is calling for, as far as yarn goes, Jensen by Isair yarn, and Pernilla and Filicona. These are some of the options, Pernilla or Filicona. You could hold a double Sunday Sanisgarn and hold that together with mohair. Lots of options for what you might want to do with this. I saw the sample knit up by the owner of the shop, and she used Wensley worsted, which is La Bien Amie, and it is made with 3 different, what do I want to say? 3 different types of wool, 3 different types of sheep. Yes, so it's 50% Falkland Cordale, 25% Falkland Merino, and 25% Wensleydale. And so that's the name of the yarn. That's who's producing it. I wanted neutral. It came in several different colors. Let's take it off the wrapper so you can just get a feel for this. It's gonna have great stitch definition. I know this kind of yarn. I did wind 1 ball. I'm ready to start my gauge today. Of course, the gauge must be done in pattern. It makes sense, the whole pattern is in pattern. So that's my plan for today, is to work through a gauge. When you look at the chart, now I bought the paper pattern, but I also downloaded it into my Knit Companion, which I like to use. And so, but by looking at the paper pattern, I noticed that there's a page. So lots of charts. Now, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't like charts, here we go again. I mean, I think charts take you into a place where you may be able to try some different things. So you're not dealing with color here. So that takes some of the challenge out of a chart. But what you are dealing with are symbols. And I will say the symbols for this are not going to be that difficult because there's only one symbol for a knit stitch, which is just a square with nothing in it. There's only one symbol. This is the American symbology, and most European as well. I think Japanese is a little bit different. A black dot in the middle of the square of the chart means it's a purl. You're going to have a strike going to the left or a strike going to the right, and those strikes will mean different things. But it's very basic. It's very basic. So, and you're not going to use a cable needle because they're mock cables. You're not really using a cable needle. So what I wanted to tell you though about the chart is that if you're doing size, making extra small, small, large, extra large, 4XL or 5XL, that chart is on one page. However, if you're making the medium, 2XL or the 3XL, that chart is on another page. So you could certainly go through this and eliminate half the chart pages because you're only going to make one size. And I'll make sure I'm very careful about that when I do Knit Companion. Now, a viewer asked me to talk a little bit more about Knit Companion, and I love Knit Companion, and you can get it for free. It's a free app, and you can do so much with a free app. So if you just want to give it a try, you have nothing to lose. So what you do is, if you buy a pattern through Ravelry, most patterns purchased online, you can copy or share it to Knit Companion. So the first thing you'd want to do is get the Knit Companion app, open it up on your computer or on your phone or your laptop so that you know what what the app looks like, and then go into your Ravelry account if you've already bought a pattern in there, and then try to share it. If you buy a new pattern, then share it. And there is a woman, and there is a YouTube tutorial, and it's pink something, and I will make sure I add that. There's somebody online who is going to tell you all about this and knows far more than I do. So I will include that. And I've used those tutorials for a number of things: how to use the markers, how to, if you're making a pattern with multiple colors, how to color the charts, how to, if there's a phrase that if there's something in the pattern that keeps coming up and you don't remember how to do it and you need to see the key, you can add the key so that it's right where you're going to see it. There's so many things you can do, but for free you can do the basic, and then it's $24.99 a year to get the whole shaboom. And for me it's worth it because I'm working in multiple colors, I'm working in charts. Sometimes the charts are complicated. I want to keep notes about sizing. I might want to bring up the key so it sits right beside the chart. So check out the tutorial, the YouTube. There's several of them. I also know I think Knit Companion themselves also is on Instagram, and they're constantly doing little tutorials there as well. But I do love it, and I like it better than having all these pages to go back and forth. Now, if it's a single page like this little shawl, this is just a no-brainer. I don't even know why I still have it. I know the basics. I wouldn't bother. But something like this, where there's multiple pages, multiple opportunities for sizing. If I'm going to make this for somebody else down the road, oh, here's a great photo of the back. So that's what I'm going to work on soon. All right, what else did I want to tell you today? What else am I thinking about? Well, I'm definitely going to make another Icelandic, but it's not going to be for a little while. But I've been thinking about that podcast because my sister-in-law gave me the little Icelandic sweaters that I knit for my niece and nephew when they were little, and some of my friends and family have sent me photos of themselves in the Icelandic sweaters I made for them. So it's been on my mind. I'm starting to put together that information, but I'm not going to do that until the fall. But just stay tuned. I'm going to do a whole episode on Icelandic, on Lopi Light, Lopi yarn, and all those beautiful patterns and sweaters. And I don't even have one for myself. You know, I did make the Phosphine last year. That's a Lopi Light, but I don't have a, traditional Icelandic sweater. And I'm definitely going to make one of those for myself this year. All right, let's see. So I want to talk to you about a couple of books. So I really enjoy a big, fat, juicy novel, especially in the summer, something I can just dive into. However, when I went to my little bookstore on Block Island called Island Bound, I saw this book in the window, and I've read this author. And this is Amor Towles, and he wrote A Gentleman in Moscow. You may remember that. I also think it's a series on maybe Apple TV or Peacock. He also wrote The Lincoln Highway, and he wrote Rules for Civility. I loved him. I read all three of those books. I loved his style of writing. So I just thought this was going to be a novel. So I went to get it, and I realized once I started talking to the owner of the store, they're short stories. And I was, I really wanted a novel. And the owner was like, yeah, give this a shot. Don't poo-poo it. The stories are incredible. Just to give you an example, the first story is only 40 pages long. After I read it, I put the book down and I felt like I had read a novel. I enjoyed it so much that I said to my husband, Dave, tonight, before dinner, I'd like to read the short story to you and see what you think. And he felt the same way. He loved it. And he said, I want to hear the rest of them. So we've been doing one short story at a time, talking about it, digesting it. So far, almost every story has a little moral to the story. And I think that you will enjoy it. So they're all fiction. It's called Table for Two by Amor Towles. And all of the stories except for the last one are short stories, and I believe the last one is a novella. So the first story is like 40, I said 40 pages, it's 41, then 75, 107, 142, 180, and the last story is 233. So, okay, I want to tell you about another book, but I don't have it with me, so I'll show you a copy of it. I gave it to my cousin to read. So remember last episode I told you that I met with Andrea, I met with Trisha Malcolm and Rosemary Drysdale, two accomplished women in the knitting world. Both worked for Vogue, knitting editor for Vogue, lovely women. They handed me this book to read. So one of them has a friend who knows the author, and the author is lives in Providence, Rhode Island. I don't think she's from Providence originally, but she makes her home in Providence, Rhode Island. And the name of the book is Three Skeins of Caledonia Blue. And it's by Elizabeth Duvivier, and I will include that. And it's a sweet story. Even though it's Three Skeins of Caledonia Blue, and you think it's going to be all about a knitting story, there are threads of yarn of a knitting story throughout the book, but you're also going to be a little mental health, friendship, how our past can affect our future, and how understanding our past can maybe free us so we have a better future. A little travel, gonna get to Sicily, and gonna be a little bit of knitting, and I think that you would enjoy it. So let me know if you decide. And same thing with Amor Towles. I know you will love that book as well. Okay, I think that's all I really had for you today. And I'm going to take off this linen quill. I'm gonna maybe swatch today. We're still waiting for those thunderstorms to come through. And we're just gonna have a homey day, and I hope you're having a wonderful day, and thank you for tuning in.
Well, I thought I was through, but I'm not. I wanted to tell you about the Medical Centers fundraiser, the virtual auction, and I donated my pressed flowers shawl. And I sent it off this week, and I hope it does well. And I will include the details in case you want to go on and take a look at what other items are going to be auctioned off. It's a great fundraiser to raise money for our little medical center. And the other thing I wanted to share with you is I went to my mom's garden club tea, and someone took a photo of us, And I'm very pleased with how the photo came out. We both had our little dresses on, and it was a wonderful day spent with Mom. So I guess now I will leave you, and I'll leave you with my little monk who I placed in the secret garden. And I wish you a beautiful day. Goodbye.